Thank you, Bill. And that reminded me of all the things that happened while you were leading that group. And I will say that about a year and a half ago, as you'll recall, we had a party because we celebrated we brought back at our home the team that had been involved in the discovery and development of ivermectin. All the people who were still around came to that party, and as we discussed what each individual had done, because they were all involved, everyone really felt that there was one leader of that scientific team, and it was Bill Campbell. And so it was so wonderful that he's acknowledged by everyone. And so now we're getting to the meat of the matter, why we are all here. And I'll bet there won't be any noise at all in the back. We are now going to have these decisions and who are the winners for this year. And Laurie Glimcher is going to tell us who the winners are. Laurie.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight I have the distinct honor of announcing the winners of the 2015 Prix Galien Awards. As you all know, these awards recognize innovation and excellence in biopharmaceutical research and development. There is no higher accolade for pharmaceutical agents, biotechnology products, or medical technology than winning the Prix Galien. As others have said, it is like winning the Nobel Prize, and many congratulations to you, Dr. Campbell. Or, as I like to think, an Academy Award. And getting to announce the winners lets me live out at least partly my childhood dream of being an actor. So I imagine that you all found Mary Claire King's keynote address as inspiring as I did. And I want to take this moment to congratulate her on receiving this year's Pro Bono Humana Award. Mark said, "This is the first time a woman has won this award." I say, it's about time. Mary Claire, your discovery of the BRCA1 and 2 genes has really transformed screening and diagnosis for breast cancer. It has helped untold women, and I am fully in support of your initiative for universal screening for women. Equally inspiring is your more recent application of your scientific talents to help identify victims of human rights abuses. Your truly remarkable work has helped to improve the human condition. Winning the Special Lasker Award last year and winning this award this year tells you how much we all hold you in great esteem, but I think these awards will never fully capture the impact that your work has had on the lives of people around the world. Congratulations, and I thank you. Before announcing this year's awardees, I want to touch briefly on why we're all here and what makes the Prix Galien Award so very special. A few weeks ago, I had the enormous pleasure of watching the actor Benedict Cumberbatch, that's a tough name, perform Hamlet at the National Theatre of London. In the famous soliloquy, he refers to the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Considering he wrote that 400 years ago, Shakespeare was pretty close. There are an estimated 30,000 human diseases that afflict mankind. The good news is that an increasing number of them are yielding to the efforts of medical science. In Ernest Hemingway's 1936 short story, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, the protagonist is dying of an infection because he scratched his knee on a thorn. Penicillin didn't exist then, and even the slightest scratch had the potential to be fatal. It wasn't until March 1942 that the first patient was treated for streptococcal septicemia with penicillin, which was produced by Merck and Company, and half the total supply in the world at that time was used on that one patient. Just a few years later, while he was working on the Manhattan Project in Los Alamos, the famous theoretical physicist Richard Feynman watched his young wife die of tuberculosis, the disease that John Bunyan called the captain of all these men of death. Isoniazid wasn't developed as an anti-tuberculosis drug by Roche until 1952. In the developed world, we no longer fear either of these natural shocks, but as the wonderful story of the work of Dr. Campbell and his fellow Nobel laureates illustrates, the story is different in much of the rest of the world. Infectious diseases is still the leading killer in the developing world, and over 1 million people are still dying of tuberculosis, much of it multi-drug resistant every year. Even so-called rich world diseases afflict all of mankind. Cardiovascular disease is the leading killer in the West, the second leading cause of death in developing countries. Cancer, second leading killer in the United States, is by some estimates the third leading cause of death in the developing world. For too long, I think we've had a backwards view of much of the world's medical problems. We now understand that in most countries, people are not sick because they're poor because they're sick. They're chronically ill with infectious disease, heart disease, cancer, respiratory ailments, and so forth. We cannot eradicate poverty on this planet until we eradicate these natural shocks that all flesh is heir to. And although as stories of discovery of avermectin and of artemisinin illustrate some of the best science and best therapies can emerge in unexpected places, the development of therapeutics and their delivery to the sick ultimately depends on strategic collaborations among academia, industry, government, and non-government organizations. Of course, it helps to have a little luck, but chance, as Pasteur reminds us, favors the prepared mind. Still, I think the paradigm of drug discovery is shifting. It is no longer true that we have the lone scientist toiling away in a lab in solitude. Today's environment encourages us to forge these creative alliances and pool resources to complement each other's strengths, band together as we work towards developing new drugs and better devices. And that, of course, is why we're all here tonight, because we believe we can advance medical science through the power of partnerships. And we want to celebrate the innovative products and agents that have had the greatest impact on the human condition. Which leads me, finally, to this year's recipients of the Prix Galien Awards. I had the pleasure of serving on the award selection committee along with the chair, Roy Vagelos, and committee members Richard Axel, Michael Brown, Joe Goldstein, Bob Langer, Paul Marks, Bent Samuelson, Mark Tessier-Levine, and Elie Wiesel. Together we had a quite difficult task of selecting the best products in each of these three areas. I'm delighted to tell you that in spite of what you may hear out there from naysayers, innovative science and biomedical research is alive and well and thriving. In fact, I think we're on the cusp of a medical revolution, potentially as big as the antibiotics revolution that changed the world in the mid-20th century. Of course, that made our job as the awards committee extremely difficult. We were forced to make some challenging decisions because of all the wonderful nominees that we had. but I'm delighted to share the results of those deliberations with you now. Here are this year's nominees in the category of Best Medical Technology Product.